Victory Honda of Muncie is proud to support the student athletes at Ball State and the students in SportsLink. For more info, visit victorymuncie.com.
Every hit, every spike, every goal. Every celebration, every story. From the creative storytellers in Ball State SportsLink, this is SportsLink Stories.
Hello and welcome back to SL Stories presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. I'm Madison Surface.
And I'm Ryan Klimcak. We're excited to bring you the best stories in Ball State sports over the past month or so. And we begin today's show with football, where a jersey number to many is just that, a jersey number. But to Clayton Coll, it means so much more. It's about representing a legacy. In a piece produced by Peyton Monell and Balin Height, this is number 32.
Number 32, to me, it just holds strong to me because it resembles something that I truly thought he was a Division I football player and should have been, but wasn't. So why can't I carry that on for him after we went through such a rough time in his late high school years?
Clayton was very reserved, very quiet, and Clayton was attached at the hip to Chris.
It was elementary school, great straight on the bus, head to the high school, and see my dad, be with my dad, go to practice, and then mom would come pick, I'd leave that practice early for my mom to come pick me up from her work.
Clay grew up in a very successful program. He didn't go hang out in the locker room so much, he hung out in the coach's room. And his football IQ is off the charts.
Growing up, it was just always seeing him coach everybody else, then seeing him coach my cousin, and then my brother, then my other brother, and then me, and then my middle brother at the same time. He was definitely, at times, definitely coach first, dad second. My oldest brother, Cody, he was the guy, like Friday nights, small town, like he was the guy. And that's what me and my other brother, Casey, always wanted to be.
Cody was a pretty special player, and both Casey and Clayton both looked up to Cody.
Having your little brothers there on the sideline, yeah, pretty neat experience. Kind of looking back on it now, realize how special that really was. You know, at the time it was cool, it was neat, but now looking back on it, realize how special that was.
They're like 6 years apart, so during high school and middle school, you're doing a lot of different things. Cody was doing a lot different things than Clayton was, so I would say now they're super close.
Toughest part about being an older brother, I would say setting a good example, but I didn't do that so well. So I think in some ways they benefited from that and seeing all the things not to do.
His junior year, my 5th grade year, a doctor that we had been in relationships with, Cody went to him after having some shoulder neck issues that he thought was normal his whole life playing football. Dr. Kersey just went and listened to a seminar talking about Chiari malformation. Is basically the bottom of his brainstem sits too far down and it can pinch nerves and stuff, but he recognized it right away and that was the end of his career.
You don't believe it at first. It doesn't really set in. Just that whole day I remember not really understanding that it was real, but not really. I think the first game, probably when you walk out there and you're not able to go out there and play is when you realize it. But that first day, just trying to understand what was going on, let people know, telling Casey and Clayton.
I remember we sat Casey and Clayton down and told them, and they both were obviously very upset.
It was very challenging as a family at that moment.
They were going to try to figure it out before, and I can remember the night when he walked in, like my parents told us, when he walked in and told us like kind of what was going on, it just hurt because I knew how much like that sport meant to him, and that meant a lot to me, seeing that come from him and that to be taken from me.
It was devastating to both of them. They grow up on the sidelines. You're watching him play. They love it, and you know they hang on everything that he does.
Just like to see one of your heroes get taken back like that, it was hard on all of us.
That obviously means a lot because that's who you want to be as an older brother, is a hero to those guys. So to hear him say that, yeah, that means a lot.
The number 32, to me, it just holds strong to me because it resembles something that I truly thought he was a Division I football player and should have been, but wasn't. So why can't I carry that on for him after we went through such a rough time in his late high school years?
For what I thought of when I saw the number 32 and then being able to wear it myself and then now watching Clayton with it on the field, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I remember coming here, I had texted coaches that recruited me like, hey, I want 32. I know a guy just left. That number meant a lot to me. But when I came here, I knew that I wanted 32. And I've had chances to change it, but there's no way I'm changing it.
Play action for Richardson. Fires it. Left side of the field and intercepted by Clayton Coll. Right around the Cardinals' 16-yard line, exactly.
You know, Clayton's always had a pretty serious side to him. Even as a young kid, just pretty driven. But it was like it just kind of, turned up several notches.
Tyler Stockton, the defensive coordinator, told us this week Clayton Coll, one of the smartest football players on the team. He's also a guy, he's played about every position on this defense. He's played safety, played linebackers, played a little D-line. But he said, look, he's the future. Next year, this is going to be his football team. He thinks that highly of him.
It was Clayton's big push to just say, this is what I want to do. I want to do it for Cody. And he was disciplined in really seeing that through.
You could see his size, you could see his movement skills, and you can see how much he loved to compete. And so once we were able to get him here and evaluate him, we knew that, all right, we made him an offer, and from that point forward, we just had to work extremely hard in recruiting to convince him that Ball State was the right fit.
I want to say it was MLK Day. I came here, and Coach New offered me up in his office with my parents there. And I remember just trying to keep a straight face and just not explode and not freak out because it was one of the best days of my life. And then I remember walking out with my parents and my dad's just we're just all trying to keep it together. By the time we got in the car and I just exploded. You know, I just felt like this was a staff that I wanted to be around. This was a university I wanted to be around. It just felt like home. It felt like the coaching staff we have here was like the ones I felt with when I was a kid around my dad when they won championships. When I committed here, I knew I was committed here and I was happy with it.
His work ethic, his football intelligence really stood out early on in the process. He's been incredibly patient, but make no mistake about it, when Clayton's number was called and he started playing a significant role for our football team, very quickly he made a difference for us.
That's been his dream all along. And to see him just live it out, yeah, every time he steps on the field, it's pretty special.
Everybody has their battles. You know, my adversity that I've been through is going to be different than another person's, but those are things that hold strong to me that will be with me the rest of my life.
Obviously, Madison, it's really cool that Clayton's able to live out his brother's dream and really support his family in that way. It's just a really cool story.
Absolutely. And you know, the Cardinals actually just finished their season at the Camilla Bowl, which means winter is officially here. And a Ball State soccer player knows how to have some fun in the cold weather. In a piece presented by Tyler Klimes and Deontay Ball, this is the Abby Elgert story.
I'm from Athabasca, Alberta, in Canada. It's a pretty small town. It's like 2,000 people. One high school, one middle school, one elementary school. It's like 2 hours from the nearest city, which is Edmonton, Alberta. I stayed with the same class all the way up, so I knew them all really well. And then same with like in the high school. I would usually leave like 2 p.m. from class to go and drive to soccer. My mom would come and pick me up, drive a couple hours, get to practice, and then practice for a couple hours, do my lifting in the city. Then I would go straight to volleyball practice for a couple hours, and I'd probably be finished with sports around 9-10 p.m. and then get up the next day for school.
Abby is a very talented athlete, and so as a younger athlete, which is when I was coaching her, she was actually involved in skiing as well as soccer and volleyball and cross-country running.
Cross-country skiing, I think, requires a lot of technical work. It's like skiing, but you're going up hills and down hills. And there's 2 different types of skiing. There's classic skiing and skate skiing. Classic, it's almost like running. And then skating is more like how you would skate, like on a ice rink. I think I got a 2nd place medal at Westerns, so that's Alberta and BC, maybe Saskatchewan too. I did winter games, and then we just had our Alberta Cup races, which were just the lower level races for the province.
This is a photo of her where she has all her gold medals. There were silvers and bronze, but gold medals from what we call the Alberta Cup series. It's a series in cross-country skiing.
It was difficult to like it at times because it was just a super hard sport, just on your body, and like you had to be mentally tough. I think I loved it because I was just reliant on myself. So I remember as a kid just being super nervous at the start line, and I just remember lining up for the race, and it was a mass start, so everyone starts at the same time. And it was like 200 girls all lined up, and then the gun went, and I just remember going up this hill and people just breaking skis, breaking poles, and somehow I made out of the heap okay. And then I felt like some reassurance that I could just relax and race. I remember just suffering too. It's just hard work. And I think finishing, I felt really relieved. I guess I was a little bit sad too that I was done racing. A lot of our time, like focus at practice, was on technique and making sure that your technique was good. So I think that also just helps in other sports as well, having kind of that body to mind connection on where to place your feet, where to move your arms. I think that helped in soccer a lot too.
She could have been highly successful no matter where she ended up focusing. As it turns out, it's soccer.
I did a couple camps in the US and didn't really know how they would go. I just went to try it out, and that's kind of how I linked up with Ball State.
She had reached out to a couple other schools, and one of my good friends happened to be the coach there, and he said, hey, you know, there's this kid that we've kind of been looking at. You know, it's probably not going to work out here, but I really think you should take a look at her.
When I came on my visit, I just like connected really well with the coaches and with the girls, and I love the campus too.
She is a phenomenal athlete. I mean, just her physical size, her strength, her speed. I mean, she has these unbelievable natural abilities. I'll use the word relentless. I mean, I think in training and in games you see it. She's just relentless in her pursuit of wanting to go make things happen, to go pressure a ball.
You need to end up doing something that you really love and are passionate about. And she obviously loves soccer, which is an awesome sport. Her background in other sports has probably helped her there. Certainly the physical fitness she gained by her ski training, I'm sure has been a benefit in soccer.
Well, I think it's kind of crazy that I've like ended up here especially like being from such a small town, like in the middle of nowhere almost.
For any of our players who come in and, and kind of take on the challenge of being a Division I athlete, like, credit to them. But then to do that on top of coming to a new country so far away from home, I think there's even an added level of respect for what they do.
Her transition from Athabasca to Ball State in Indiana, I think that it demonstrates her confidence. It's great that she has that confidence to go out and see that there's a lot more to the world than this locality where she spent her whole life up to now.
When I look at my friends from my hometown, none of them are out in the US. So I think it's kind of an odd situation that I ended up here, but I'm happy it ended out how it has.
What a great story from Abby. She's definitely got a bright future here at Ball State.
She really does. Well, Madison, obviously the holidays represent a time of hope and inspiration. Maddox Tavernier's story is no different. In a piece produced by Tristan Fleur and me, here is To Hell and Back.
Round trip to hell and back. But I wouldn't change one damn thing about the last year.
It's great to be with you today on homecoming week here in Muncie, Indiana. Split, drops back, throws a ball. Right corner, caught by Justin Hall for the touchdown.
Yeah, that's exactly where she's like talking to each other. Being a little kid, I was crazy.
I remember my mom, who is a teacher, saying, you have to be the assistant because he's going to run out and run to the baseball field and he's not going to stay in that classroom.
I remember playing wiffle ball in the backyard when he was 3, 4 years old, stimulating White Sox players, batting stances.
When he got into flag football and baseball and all that, he was just great at anything he tried.
Football is just something that I really just grasped. When I started playing, it was just something that I just loved.
No one has ever, I don't think, had as much fun playing sports as Maddox.
Confident all the time in his skills. 8th grade's when all the quarterback stuff started and the recruiting and traveling and all that. Freshman year at Warren, he was doing great on the freshman team. And sophomore year at JV, he was a leader and captain.
I've always been very competitive. It's just something that always was built in me where no matter what you do, you play to win. When you love something, like I love football, you don't need to try to be energetic or fake it. It just comes with it, with how much you love it and how passionate you are about it.
We're going to go out in the woods for 4 days and hike. That's when we realized that he had something wrong with his knee.
We were a week from starting this team practices in July. Maybe I hyperextended it, maybe I tweaked it, cutting off it, and I just wanted to see what it was, just to make sure it wasn't something serious.
He couldn't step over the logs. And we had, 40-pound backpacks. So my oldest and I knew if we are able to do something better than Maddox, then there's something wrong. When we came back, we went to Methodist Sports Medicine.
June 29th, I had Smoothie King, procrastinated my summer class, then went to throw with my new receivers. My mom was on vacation with my sister and flew back home due to the results of my MRI. First red flag. The MRI showed something in your leg and you can't practice today because they want to see what it is. It's really difficult to grasp when I was told that I most likely do have osteosarcoma. At the time, I was like, okay, what's that? Then she was like, no, sarcoma means tumor. You have bone cancer. It was really a day where my whole mindset and landscape of life changed.
The thing is, you don't know the worst thing there is until you have to go through it.
I just felt like time after time, it was like hitting a new rock bottom. When I had mouth sores in my whole mouth and I wasn't able to eat because all the skin in my mouth was not there, I thought that was going to be a new rock bottom. And then I tore my oblique just from throwing up so much and being up so much. I thought that was a new rock bottom.
His Bible verse was, "For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to hope and prosper." And I can remember just sobbing to my friend and saying, how is this prospering? How am I supposed to have hope? And she just said, that's why he picked the verse. And he made sure that I didn't know how bad he felt.
I didn't want people to know that I was not able to walk for months. I didn't want people to know that I stay up at night not knowing if I'm going to be able to complete this.
The hardest part would be trying to be happy without as much joy as he brings.
Whenever I knew that there's a possibility that this disease might take me, was that I lived 19 years of life. I lived 19 years of full life, and I feel like that's what really got me through some days, was being content with how I did live my life.
Hello, Maddox. Maddox, what's up, man? This is Trey.
Hey, Maddox. Jim Kelly here.
What's going on, Maddox? It's Chuck Garfine here.
Hey, Maddox. Peyton Manning here.
I went from feeling helpless to maybe adding a little spark to this 9-month nightmare.
He reached out to all my favorite athletes, all my favorite teams, and they always sent stuff back to me. They always reached out to me.
Fight like you've never fought before.
I had a surgery and chemotherapy, and you know, I'm made it through, and you know, gonna start trying to gear back up and get ready for next year. So I know you can do the same thing too.
It's tough, but you know what? You're a tough kid.
I want to let you know I'm thinking about you. I'm sending positive, healthy vibes your way.
Just know that I'm pulling for you and praying for you, and add me to the list of all those people.
He's watching the game today from home. Maddox, we're thinking of you. We're sending our best. I hope that White Sox baseball is lifting your spirits. Looking forward to you coming back to the park and watching your favorite team in person in the future.
Ball State was always a part of my life. Both my parents went there. My uncle played football here. He actually played with Coach New.
Brett Locklear, the first team all-conference place kicker, will try to make it a 9-7 ball game. It's down, it's out, it is.
Freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I came to Ball State as a recruit for each game, and it was really always on the map. It really was the place that I always wanted to be. It was then in February that I was accepted into Ball State, and then not even a week later, I got a call from a random number, and I answered it, and it was Coach New.
Obviously, you know, Maddox was playing football and certainly had been in communication with him during the recruiting process, being a quarterback and keeping tabs on him.
He was saying how he's been following my story and offered me a position to be involved with the team, and that's something that I just jumped on right away.
When the decision was made that he was coming to Ball State, and I had some conversation with Brent, I wanted to extend the offer to him that, you know, we wanted you to be around our football program. You know, he's been with us this year helping out with our equipment staff. Who knows where his role ends up growing here, but you know, certainly been proud of him. He's had a tough situation with the cancer, but he's certainly done a great job in the way he's attacked it and kept a positive attitude.
I always knew he would be there in some capacity, and that's still in the back of his mind to, make it out on the field, because so long he dreamt of that moment.
I feel very fortunate to be in the situation I am today, and there's other people that have been in my situation that have not been as fortunate as me, and it's something that I thank God for every day.
He's always been a hard worker. This past year has been so tough on him.
You beat cancer by not letting it define you, by not letting it dictate how you live.
We'll see what the future brings, because Maddox has always defied expectations.
The thing is, you don't beat cancer by having it removed or finishing treatment. You beat cancer by staring in the face and living the best life you can, regardless of the disease, and always win every single day. And that's how I beat cancer.
Madison, it was really fun working on that story and just a lot of inspiration from Maddox and his family, and we appreciate them being able to tell that story.
Absolutely. Everyone involved did a fantastic job on that piece. But that's all we have for today's SL Stories presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. I'm Madison Surface.
And I'm Ryan Klimcak. Be sure to catch up on all the latest happenings in Ball State sports by following BSU Sports Link on all social media platforms to see featured stories just like the ones featured in today's show. Thanks for watching and happy holidays.